Welcome to Straight from the Source with Hayley Watts, and our guest today is Shelly Rogers, a good friend of Action News Now and pretty much all the animals of Butte County in general. Shelly, welcome.
Hi, Hayley. Thank you so much.
So I met you initially through the work that you do with, Butte Humane Society, Chico Animal Shelter, and I realized I don't know your whole backstory, how you got involved in all of this. I mean, you're a full-time, 60-hour-a-week volunteer, right?
Well, I do work a day job.
Oh my gosh,
yes,
on top of all of this.
I do. So I have a 9-to-5 office style job.
Okay.
And then my passion is volunteering, mostly with animals.
Yeah. Okay. So have you had animals your whole life growing up?
I did. Growing up in the 70s in Santa Rosa, we always had a dog and a number of cats. And so as an adult, as soon as I was able to have pets of my own, of course, I got a dog and a cat. Yeah. And then the volunteering came a little later.
Okay. So tell me about what is it about animals that you love so much?
There's so much work to be done. Yeah. It's shocking how much work there is out there to be done. And a lot of it is being done by awesome organizations with paid staff, but a ton of it is being done by volunteers. Yeah. And I would love to do anything that I can to bring visibility to how much work there is that needs to be done and the really great need for volunteers in all types of areas.
Right. So for you, devoting your time into a lot of these animal-related nonprofits and organizations is, yes, of course, you love animals, but it's also like the human need, right? Because overpopulation of shelters or strays in the community is, problematic for everybody.
Exactly right. Okay. Yes. Helping the animals is also helping the humans, and that helps the community. So much work to be done, and it really is addicting. It's a slippery slope. You get your foot in the door, you find out how much awesome work is being done, how many amazing humans there are out there, and for some of us, you just want to do more and more.
Yeah, okay. So you probably get asked things all the time, and I mean, have you learned to say no?
I'm not good at saying no. I say yes to a lot of things. Currently, I'm volunteering for 4 different organizations. Chico Animal Shelter is my #1 love. I love them. I support everything they do. I'm blown away by how well they take care of the animals. Yeah. I'm also a volunteer with Bidwell Wildlife Rehab, and I'm on the board. I also foster cats for FUR, which is Friends United and Rescue. And I'm also a cat trapping volunteer for Neighborhood Cat Advocates.
Okay, we got to talk about this, but I have to tell everybody a little story of Shelly and her inability to say no. Don't push her on this. One time, my husband sent me a text or whatever saying that there was a baby squirrel in my dog's mouth. Fortunately, I have a good dog who was just holding the baby squirrel and dropped the baby, and we put it in a little box, but I didn't know what to do, and I think it was a triple-digit weather, and it had fallen out of a tree. So I called you, thinking maybe I would just get some advice. And you were so kind to actually pick it up, and I believe you brought it to Bidwell Wildlife, I think, right?
I brought it to my home.
Oh!
Yes. So let's talk about Bidwell Wildlife Rehab for a minute. Bidwell Wildlife Rehab takes in orphaned and injured wildlife. Okay. We do not have a center. Yes. We do all of our rehabbing out of volunteers' homes. Okay. So during the spring and summer months, I have squirrels, possums, occasionally a raccoon, a rabbit, and we have this amazing group of volunteers that when someone calls and says, I have a baby squirrel in need of help, we take them to our homes, raise them until they are old enough to be released.
Right. Okay, so let me ask, because I was so thrilled and I thought it was so wonderful that you did that, especially because I have indoor cats and dogs, and I was so worried about the squirrel being at risk if I were to care for it, but also I just don't have the knowledge. But I mean, that's something, if somebody encounters like a wild animal in need of support and care, I mean, there's information is out there. Do you recommend people like ChatGPT it? Like, how do I
do not recommend that.
So call you.
Please. Well, the best way to get a hold of Bidwell Wildlife Rehab is to go to bidwellwildliferehab.org. Yeah. At the very top of the page, you'll see a form for I found a mammal or I found a bird. Yeah. And that will take you to a form that you fill out giving all the information about the animal, what type of animal, how many, where is it a baby or is it an adult? Then that form comes to intake volunteers like me, and then we will follow up with the finder.
Yeah, okay.
Please don't, there's lots of misinformation out there online.
Is.
Yes,
yeah.
The best thing to do with wildlife, get it to a licensed wildlife rehabber, like with Bidwell Wildlife Rehab.
Okay. Did you hear about Kirshner?
I did.
You don't have any insider information about, because I know that family, I mean, it's been an established, basically, like, rescue for animals in our community for so very long.
Yes, it has. Bidwell Wildlife Rehab is not affiliated with Kirshner in any way. I know that the California Department of Fish and Wildlife pulled their permit, which is a big deal. If you don't have a CDFW permit, you can't have any wildlife.
Right.
Bidwell Wildlife Rehab's permit is in great shape. I don't know specifically what happened, and I know that all the animals that were in their care are safely in the care of other organizations.
Okay.
And there was a lot of worry out there about, are they going to be euthanized? Are they just going to be killed? They were not.
Oh, that's good to hear.
They're in great situations right now, and they're getting the care they need.
That's
really
great.
Sad situation all the way around.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's an interesting thing with animals in general, right? Because when we talk about like shelters being overcrowded and full, and we talk about adoption, I'm always kind of on the fence because I always want to push people to adopt, right? But being a animal mom, I know how expensive it is, and making that decision between like, okay, well, my cat is like, I think I texted her a week or so ago, and my cat was suddenly after 5 years not using the litter box for number 2. Bizarre things, and it's like, well, if I have an upset stomach, I'm probably not going to go to the doctor. I'm going to wait and see a couple of days, right? And my copay is only $25. A lot of times for our pets, if you don't have pet insurance, it's like hundreds of dollars just for the appointment. And then, you know, they can't speak. They don't know, so they want to do the x-rays. They want to do all the stuff. And then it's $1,000, and maybe your cat just ate a leaf, right? And it's just having a bad day. So I guess that's my way of saying, like, where do you stand on this if somebody really wants to be a pet owner and they want to help shelter overcrowding, but like they don't have a ton of money?
That is such a great question, because this might be one of the most difficult times to own a pet. It's extremely expensive. Vet care has gone through the roof, and there's a number of reasons for that. So for anybody out there who's thinking, well, can I afford a pet? Should I get a pet? You really have to realistically look at your financial situation. If your dog, I have an acquaintance whose dog had a condition called entropion, which is when the eyelids turn inward and the eyelashes scratch the cornea of the eye. It's a terrible condition. In order to get surgery that the dog needed, the vets wanted to do, you know, a full blood workup, really all kinds of work that may or may not have been extraneous. You know, I don't question what the vets do, but the surgery itself it ended up being about $1,200. And he had to do a GoFundMe to raise that money, which worked, and his friends donated. But it is a tough time to own pets. You just have to realistically look, do I have the money if I had an emergency? What do I do? Do I have the money? Do I have a support system in place if I do need that? It's a tough time.
Do you think, like, because you're very familiar with what goes on, at least the Butte County different shelters and rescues that there are, do you think that animals are better off, even if they're in like the kennel for an extended period of time, than with a family that takes great care of them, but if they get sick, doesn't have the means to help?
That's a tough one.
Right?
Always they should be in homes, although in shelters they're being very well taken care of. So I really just have to say, they're better off in a home. There's not a ton of financial help out there for vet bills. You know, there's no organization in our area where you can apply for financial assistance if your pet needs expensive vet care. So you really, you know, taking good care of your animals is important, but there are things that come up that are completely beyond pet owners' control. Pets bring so much to our lives.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think I could ever say, no, don't adopt.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Yep, they're everything. And so one question I was going to ask you, though, about the financial aspect, like, what do you think about pet insurance? Do you think that that's just kind of like a scam, or do you know people who felt like it's actually been really a good thing?
I love pet insurance.
Okay.
Love it.
Okay.
Highly recommend it. Yes.
I need to look into it because I do all the things. I do like the heartworm medication and the yearly testing to get the heartworm medication. And it's just, it adds up to so much. I've never really done the math, but I've been thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really, it's, it's the same function as for humans. It's
Right.
for the big one.
Yeah.
It's for that $2,500 hernia surgery that your
Right.
pet might need that you can't prevent. It's there in the case of big emergencies.
Yeah.
I really love pet insurance.
Okay, I like that idea. I'm gonna look into it. And there's so many options out there. You can shop around. Okay, so I just the other night, Sunday, my dogs. We have a pretty good sized backyard, and there's always various critters. And one of the wildlife that likes to hang out in my backyard overnight is skunks. So my short hair's been skunked multiple times. He's more aggressive and he gets it bad. But my long-haired German Shepherd, she got sprayed in the face.
So bad.
Now you can't shave a long-haired German Shepherd, right? Their fur won't grow back right. Do you have any tips besides the general like peroxide and baking powder and just give them a bath and wait it out?
Oh, to get the
skunk smell
I
out?
don't. I've
Yeah.
never had a dog that has been sprayed by a skunk.
Oh, you're lucky. It's geographic. I think some people have yards where the skunks like it to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you have nuisance wildlife around, so Bidwell Wildlife Rehab, we do not relocate animals. Sometimes
You won't come pick a skunk up
we
from
do-
my house, Shelly?
We do not. There's no beautiful skunk sanctuary where they can end up. So we don't relocate animals.
Okay.
But we get this question a lot.
Yeah.
There is raccoons are tearing up my lawn, or there's birds that are making a mess near the roof of my house. The wildlife is there because there's something in your yard that they like.
Okay.
It's food or shelter.
Yeah.
And so if you can eliminate those things,
Okay.
then the wildlife will likely leave your yard.
I'm curious now because, I do leave outdoor cat food outside. And maybe skunks like that. Who knows?
They do.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So if there's a way for folks, if you've got the nuisance wildlife, you've got skunks, and you leave pet food outdoors, bring
Yeah.
it inside if you can.
Okay.
I will hope that they will not come back after that.
Yeah.
But really, relocating wildlife is a tough one. There's no good place to take them.
Yeah.
It is illegal to trap, for example, a raccoon and go put it in the park.
Yeah.
Illegal to do
Interesting.
that. Yeah.
Are you up to speed with like more wildlife rules? Can I ask you about? Like, I'd be curious to know.
I may not know, but
Yeah,
yes.
we know that the wolf stuff is, they're federally protected. They're endangered species. Can't touch a wolf unless you're defending your own life, right? Like actively. I know coyotes have been like a bit of a gray area. Like my mom, for example, she lives in Southern California, so it's not the same county or anything like that. But it was really sad because she had outdoor chickens. And she loved those chickens, and all of a sudden a coyote kind of set up shop right down the hill, and she saw them getting picked off one by one. And I think she ended up getting like an airsoft gun or something to like use as a deterrent, and eventually she adopted out the chickens because it was just too heartbreaking, right? If people have coyote problems, is that like a call to Fish and Wildlife sort of situation here?
You can.
Yeah.
Fish and Wildlife will not relocate the coyotes, though. And what they'll tell you is keep your animals inside.
Yeah.
Take away whatever it is that's bringing those coyotes to your yard. Something has changed in my brain since I started volunteering, especially with Bidwell Wildlife Rehab, and that is that every living thing wants to live as badly as we do.
Yeah.
And they want the same things that we do. They want food, safety, shelter. They want to raise their young in a place that's safe and where their young will thrive.
Yeah.
When I hear about coyotes in a suburban neighborhood, it's such a dilemma. We don't want them there.
Right.
They're there because their habitat's disappearing and there's food sources there.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody's cat to get eaten by a coyote. That's heartbreaking. I don't want chickens to get eaten by coyotes. But those coyotes are there because they need to be there in order to sustain themselves and their families.
Yeah.
I've gotten a real respect for every species as a result of volunteering.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I know, and it's funny because I always talk about the fact that I've been vegan or vegetarian most of my life, and my husband's a hunter, right? And everyone's like, how do you make it work? And it's like, because, it's all kind of perspective, right? And like every animal we need to eat. Hunters, there's nothing bad about hunting for food, right? That's what animals are supposed to do. And if you're going to eat meat, to me, that's the way to do it, rather than factory farms, And so and also, how could I ever be judgmental about him? Because I will confess that if there is a line of ants in my kitchen, the ant trap is going out. And if there's a fly in my kitchen, they're getting sprayed with Simple Green. I'm sorry, I will kill flies
All good?
in my home.
Oh,
in
yes.
my home. I'm not going to go outside and hunt them down or anything like that.
No.
But it's like, who am I to say that a deer's life is way more special and valuable than a fly just because it's cuter to me? You know, it's like life is life.
Yeah, it's a dilemma. We all want our quality of life to be as good as it possibly can, and animals want the same thing. So I love where you're going with that. You know, everything, really almost every interaction we have with animals is something moral and ethical. How are we treating them? How much money are we paying for their care and their food? Are we volunteering to help the animals that need help? Really a lot of morality and ethical issues around animals.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk a little bit more about you. You said you work, what is the full-time job?
I work for PG&E,
okay,
and I am an electric mapper.
Oh.
So what that means is that when facilities get built out in the field, there's a new pole line, new transformers. The last step in that job is that it comes to my work group, and we make sure it's on the maps correctly.
Okay, interesting. Is that, are you really intrigued by it? I mean, it seems like it takes a special skill set, right, to kind of make, it could go really badly if it's not correct.
I have gotten tons of training with PG&E. Very polarizing company. And, you know, I'm sure there's folks that are watching this and saying, oh, PG&E. PG&E has been an amazing help and sponsor to nonprofits.
Yeah.
They're a major sponsor of Walk Woof Wag, which is the biggest fundraiser of the year for the Chico Animal Shelter.
Yeah.
They also, if an employee donates $1,000 to a nonprofit or a school, PG&E will match that.
Right.
So they put a lot of care and thought into the communities that they're in, and they train us really well. Everybody I know works incredibly hard to make sure we're doing our jobs correctly and making everything safe.
Yeah, okay. And so that's a full-time. And basically this volunteerism, did it start slowly with just one little thing here and there, and then you started just seeing the need, or like how did that all progress?
Yes, it did start slowly. So in 2011, I quit a job that I was unhappy with. And for the first time in my adult life, I was unemployed. And I needed something to do. So I applied to volunteer at a couple of different places. The first place that called me back was the Chico Cat Coalition, which is still going strong and doing amazing work for cats. So I started volunteering there once a week. And then it became twice a week. Then it was 3 times a week. Then I started helping with fundraisers, and they asked me to be on the board. So I was on the board for about 5 years. And I got absolutely hooked. The people that I met that were working so hard, I wanted to be like them. I wanted to work as hard as they were. The work that they're doing for the cats. And then 2012 was an interesting year for animals in Chico. And the reason for that is the Chico Animal Shelter came into existence in February of 2012. Prior to that, Butte Humane Society was contracted with the city to run the city shelter services. So Chico Animal Shelter started in February 2012, and I started volunteering there. I found out more about what they did, and I said, I love this organization. I want to do everything I can to help them.
Yeah.
Then I met more amazing people when Neighborhood Cat Advocates came into existence in 2013.
Okay.
And that's the trap, neuter, return group for unowned cats.
Yeah.
So everything started very slow, one Thursday morning a week at the Chico Cat Coalition, and fast forward to 13 years later, and I'm doing all kinds of stuff. Okay,
so let's take a little sidebar here, because I want to ask you about stray cats and your theory on this. And I'll actually just share my situation. So I have this wonderful cat, Kramer. I got him from the Orville SPCA. And he was a cat. He's so sweet and so loving, and he loves our family. He loves attention. He does not want to be indoors. And when you bring him indoors, he marks everything, even though he was fixed. He just gets anxious and he wants to go out. And so after a year and replacing all the carpet and the baseboards and all the things we tried and the plugins and CBD and everything that was suggested, we accepted the fact, okay, Kramer wants to be an outdoor cat. And he has a little house on our upstairs, our balcony, and he's got plenty of shelter, and every single morning he gets his can of food. He's living the life. But I have this constant fear, concern, guilt on a hot day, on a stormy day. Kramer's out there in the elements. What if one day Kramer doesn't come in the morning or night for the food? Like, has he been eaten? And then I think, like, you know, I adopted this cat, said I was going to give him a home, but he's not in my home. Do you think that there's a place for that in the adoption world for cats that have been stray, or just, you know, they've spent too long on the street, they end up in a shelter and they don't want to be indoors? I mean, like, is there a middle life for adopted cats?
As a wildlife rehab volunteer, I feel obligated to say no cats should be outdoors.
Right.
However, as a person who with common sense who's alive right now, there are cats outdoors.
Yeah.
There always have been, and there always will be.
Yeah.
So Kramer really has it about as good as he can get it.
Yeah.
He's got food. He's got somebody who looks out for him if he needs medical care. He's got shelter. As far as unowned and feral cats go, the Humane Society of the United States has estimated that there is one unowned cat for every 6 people in an urban and suburban area. That means in Chico we have 16,000 unowned and feral cats.
Wow.
So Kramer being outside, he's just one of tens of thousands of cats that are outdoors, and most of them are just making their way as best they can.
Right.
So the fact that he has somebody who looks out for him, I mean, that's a good life for a cat.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, because, I mean, and each animal is unique. You can't say, oh, all dogs like this or all cats like this. I mean, just like you and I are very different people, we have the same basic needs for food, shelter, and love, but maybe our hobbies or our food tastes are different. And so, yeah, I think that there's probably, for people who are looking to adopt, like, keeping these sort of things in mind of, like, what they are able to provide, and making sure it's the right fit for them. Do people, I mean, I'm sure you see it all the time, though, where it doesn't work out and people return animals essentially to a shelter.
Oh, this is where I want to talk about fostering and the awesome staff at the Chico Animal Shelter. So to answer your question, the better you know a dog or a cat, the more able you're going to be to find a perfect home for them.
Yeah.
So my husband and I foster dogs for the Chico Animal Shelter, and we have since 2012. We are on foster dog 173 right now, and that's been over 13 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been such an amazing adventure.
We got to do, when you take in your 200th, let's meet up again and meet the dog and do a story about you and your husband.
We would love that, yeah. And so we learn a lot about these dogs. So when we meet a potential adopter, for example, we just got one adopted last week, and her name was, oh my gosh, I already forgot her name. Her name was Raspberry. Okay. Raspberry. Yeah. And what we learned about Raspberry is she really wanted to be around another dog, and she was not fully house trained. Okay. We were working on house training her, and she was getting better, but I needed any potential adopter to know she is going to go to the bathroom in your house. Yeah. So anybody who asked about her, she got 3 adoption applications. So each person I spoke with, and I said, she's not fully house trained. Right. One person said, I'm out. Yeah. The other person said, I'd really like for her to go to a home with another dog, and they didn't have another dog. The third person had another dog, and they said, we are willing to work with her on house training. So because I knew a lot about that dog, and I was able to be completely honest with the adopters, she found a good match. Yeah. The staff at the Chico Animal Shelter do the same thing every day. Yeah. They really know these animals, and they know which ones can't go with cats. They know which ones would be great with little kids. They know which ones would like a big backyard to run around in. Yeah. So when somebody puts in an adoption application and says, this dog looks really cute, say, he is adorable, but I also need to let you know these things. Right. Then the adopter can make their own decision. And because really reputable shelters and rescues do that, it really decreases the number of returns. Okay, that's good to know. So you said that you being a foster, your husband is also a foster, right? So I don't know if you're the same. People fight about their kids, right? So just last night, Ellie, because of the skunk, my husband hasn't been wanting to let the dogs out back for as long as I typically do right before bedtime, right? So we have one sleep up in our room with us every night just to make sure there's a barking dog by our bed, and then the others have beds downstairs, switch it up. Anyways, so Danny, my husband, does not wear earplugs to bed. I like to wear earplugs to bed. And Ellie was up whining all night
And we were kind of bickering about it this morning because why didn't you get up to let Ellie out ever of all the 7 times? And well, I didn't hear her, babe. That was on you if you're the one getting woken up, or you could put some earplugs in. I guess my question is, how do you and your husband navigate the fostering? Are you both like all in, or do you pick up most of the slack, or how does that work?
Thank goodness we are both all in.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
I will say I do the majority of the work
Okay.
because this was all my idea. So I do the feeding and the taking to vet appointments and the cleaning up after the non-house trained ones. But having a supportive spouse and family when bringing animals into your home is super important.
Yeah.
It impacts everybody.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, it goes such a long way. Like, because my husband and I both have decided on each animal together, although even my cat, he brought the cat home for me as a gift, essentially. So he's been very much in, and, you know, if there's an accident, it's like, okay, you get the lumps, I'll get the spray and wipe, or we'll switch off. But it is a team. It has to be a team effort, right?
It absolutely does.
And you kind of have to laugh sometimes because it's a lot.
It is. Bringing animals into your home is a whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so nice that there's so many volunteer opportunities outside of the home.
Yeah.
You know, you're leaving your home for X number of hours a week. You come home, your family is none the wiser.
Right.
So with bringing animals into the home, really important to get everybody on board.
Yeah, if you're somebody who maybe you're lower on finances, or you have a family member who's allergic or whatever, that's a good way to get your cat fix, right? Is to volunteer and just cuddle and snuggle and love on the cats and not have to come home and have your carpet shredded.
That is such a good point. Every shelter and rescue out there loves volunteers who come in and spend time with the animals.
Yeah.
And that could look like dog walking. And with walking dogs, there's different levels. Level 1, super easy dog. Anybody could walk it on the leash. Level 3, we need somebody who maybe has some dog training experience, is strong. So whatever your level of activity, there's an animal socializing job for you. And with cats, it's just going in and spending time with them.
Yeah.
A lot of cats are afraid in the shelter or the rescue. So if they can get a human to just come and sit with them, pet them, talk to them sweetly, give them some treats, they become more adoptable.
Yeah, okay. So it's so funny how, I know you're not a vet, but how things have changed when it comes to like animal rights and welfare. And I remember when I was younger, it was the norm to get a cat like declawed, right? And now it's pretty much illegal. I think in California and in more states, they're making it illegal except for a medical emergency, which what kind of medical emergency would require declawing? I don't even know. Do you have any sort of like advice or feedback for somebody who has adopted a cat and they're like, oh my gosh, all of my furniture is just gone, and they don't like the scratch pads, they like my $10,000 couch?
If someone has scratch pads out and a scratching post, I know at least one, probably two fabulous people who are cat behaviorists.
Okay.
Sarah Downs, who is the president of the group that runs Neighborhood Cat Advocates.
Yeah.
Amazing cat behaviorist. I refer everybody to her.
Yeah, you referred me to her once when I had a problem.
You did, so I'm calling out Sarah in public. So I'm not great with that.
Yeah.
Cats, I'm less familiar with cats than I am with dogs.
Yeah.
But there's a solution, and declawing is not it.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it did just become illegal in California, and every cat person that I know is so happy about that.
Yeah.
Declawing is like cutting off the first knuckle of your finger.
Yeah, yeah.
Really not good for cats. I understand why people would do it or felt like they had to do it. It is now illegal in this state, which animal advocates are very happy about.
Yeah. You know, one thing I hope that people understand if they're like struggling with an animal issue is that with patience and determination, like things can be worked through. Like something I reached out to you about was my third dog that I have now. She's now almost 3. And for the first 6 months, she was really predatory towards my cats, right? And we got her as a puppy, so we didn't know. Even the most fabulous volunteers can't predict that sort of thing. And I thought, I don't know what to do because I've got an outdoor cat in the yard and I've got the indoor cat, and she was going after them. But I know I reached out to you, I got some feedback, and you know, we kept her on a leash around the cat, and basically until she stopped reacting, and we had to just be patient and sit in the house with our dog on a leash for months. And now they're best friends. They love each other. And it's like, what if I had just given up on her, you know, and not had the patience to work through it? I'm just so grateful that I have that experience. So now whenever another animal-related issue comes up, I realize, okay, if we could get Zuma through trying to kill Fred and Kramer, we can get through this.
Bless you for having that patience. It is so hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
6 months, 6 months of having your dog on a leash, and you worked through it. The patience makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Something that makes me nervous is when someone says, I've always wanted a dog of this specific breed, whatever breed it might be. I've always wanted a, Jack Russell Terrier. I've always wanted a Husky. And the two breeds that I named are somewhat difficult dogs.
Yeah, they are.
And so I really hope that you've done your research.
Yeah.
Huskies are escape artists. They're beautiful, they're majestic, they're amazing. They can also jump a 6-foot fence.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Jack Russell Terriers, full of energy.
Yeah.
So cute,
Yeah.
very fun. They need a ton of exercise.
Yeah.
So I would advise folks, you want a dog, you want a cat, think beyond what they look like and ask more questions about what is their demeanor, what's their behavior like. Get a pet that really matches your lifestyle. If you're kind of a sedentary person, get a dog that's going to sit on the couch with you.
Right.
And that may not be the breed that you've always wanted for your entire life.
Right.
It may be something that you never thought about.
Yeah.
But the more important thing in the end than what it looks like and how cute it is how does it fit in with your lifestyle?
Yeah.
I just commend you a million times for all that work that you did, because now you have a house of happy pets.
Yeah. Yeah, it took some time, but it's like every challenge in life. I always tell people this, whether it's animal related or not. I find that the way that I can hold on to that patience during the challenge is because I just know how empowering it is when you come out on the other side and you recognize, okay, I can put this in the bank of, hey, remember the time I dealt with that thing and I got through that? I can tackle this next thing too.
Well done. Really important.
A lot of
Yes.
self-talk to stay afloat these days.
Have patience. Well, I'm sure you had moments where you thought, is this going to work?
Yes, that was the fear, like the heartbreak of, oh my gosh, what do we do if this dog that we've fallen in love with is, God forbid we couldn't keep it because of the fear, or even worse, what if she hurt one of the cats? And so fortunately, yeah, we worked through it. But gosh, okay, so for you, so I know that you're a foster mom. Do you have your own pets, full-time pets?
We have one cat.
Oh, okay.
And we love her because she's amazing with dogs. And so what we can do is bring foster dogs into our home. They can see and interact with our cat, and it gives us an idea of how these dogs will be in a home with cats.
Okay, so even your pet is a volunteer.
She totally is. That is so funny. Yes, she is. She is a very dog-savvy cat,
Yes.
which is so important for our house. Because if a dog, if a dog really goes after our cat, then we can't have that dog at our house, and we
Right.
have to take the dog back to the shelter. So we have one cat of our own and 0 dogs.
Okay, yeah. So you're very busy. You have a full life, and I mean, hey, I love being busy. It makes me feel good to have a mission and a purpose, so I get it. It's not like a martyr thing, right? It feels good. However, everybody needs a little unwind time, a little time where you can just take care of you. So how do you balance that? And like, what's Shelly taking care of Shelly?
Oh my gosh. Let me think here. I love baseball.
Okay.
If anybody remembers the Chico Outlaws, which was a unaffiliated professional team in Chico, I was their stadium announcer for 3 years.
Oh, that's
for 3
cool.
seasons. So I was the one saying, now batting,
Yeah.
number 16, Eric Pringle. That was very fun. So I like to watch and listen to baseball. I like to go to baseball games. Now that the A's are in Sacramento, I'm super happy about that. I like to take walks, and I also pick up trash while I'm on walks, because why not?
Yeah.
That's all I can think of.
Okay.
So weird.
And I mean, I love that. I feel like I've seen you before involved in some sort of creek cleanup, and I figured, Shelly's just serving everybody else again. But it's good to know that you actually enjoy it as well. I mean, all of this stuff you enjoy. I take it.
Yeah, I do. Yes,
Yeah.
It's brought so much meaning and passion into my life. It's also brought a lot of hardship, a lot of heartbreak. I've been yelled at and cursed at, and people have said really mean things. but sadly, sometimes that goes along with the territory when volunteering.
And that's in your role as a volunteer?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The people just get frustrated and they want to take it out on somebody else.
They do, and the main source of frustration is when a group that I volunteer with is not doing what that person wants to do.
Yeah.
And a huge example of that is neighborhood cat advocates.
Okay.
So what neighborhood cat advocates does is trap, neuter, return of stray and feral cats.
Yeah.
We return the cats to where they came from. For feral cats, they are not adoptable.
Yeah.
So let's picture a feral cat that has never had exposure to humans. It's very afraid of humans. There is no shelter in the world that's going to take that cat, and if they did, it would be euthanized because it's not adoptable. So in 2013, and really kind of in the early 2010s, there was this kind of nationwide movement toward let's try trap, neuter, return, which we call TNR, trap, neuter, return. So there's a lot of frustration among people who have feral cats at their home or their business. They don't want those cats there.
Right.
They will call neighborhood cat advocates and say, someone needs to come get rid of these cats.
Yeah.
We don't do that. No group in this area is going to do that. Leads to a lot of frustration among people.
Yeah.
So they take that out on the volunteers. I did not anticipate that when I started volunteering. And it is rare, but it really is disconcerting. It hurts a lot.
That's such an interesting and terrible dilemma. I could imagine being like an animal lover if you have like a feral cat population near where you live, because you don't want to see animals starve, but then they always say you shouldn't be feeding feral cats, right? Because then you're just drawing to the problem. I mean, where do you stand, or what's the professional stance on that?
With neighborhood cat advocates, we want people to feed the cats.
Oh, you do? Okay.
We do. There is a huge number of people, probably the majority, who say, I'm fine with the cats here, I just don't want more.
Yeah.
They'll say, I have 5 cats here, but I don't want 30 cats. That's where trap, neuter, return comes in.
Right, because they're not having babies.
Yes. And those 5 cats will turn into 30 cats.
Right, okay.
And so in order to trap the cats, they have to be fed.
Yeah.
Because you're going to bait the traps. And also we want to keep the cats there so that we can come in and get them trapped.
Right.
So they need to be fed for that. Also, to bring up that morality and the ethics, it's really hard to see a starving animal.
Yeah.
It is human nature, human nature to want to put food out for those animals. So in terms of the groups that do trap, neuter, return, we love when people feed feral cats, unowned cats. And if anybody out there is doing that, you are one of thousands in our community that's doing that.
Yeah.
Many, many people
And so
feed
maybe
unowned
that's
cats.
the balance. If there's like neighborhood infighting about like one neighbor's feeding them and others are frustrated because they have cats spraying on their whatever it is, or they think it's making things worse, maybe hey, if you're going to feed them, but also call us and make sure that they're not reproducing.
Yes. And that seems to be kind of a nice compromise among neighbors.
Yeah.
The exact situation you described comes up on a regular basis. One person is feeding lots of cats, it impacts the whole neighborhood.
Right.
So if that neighborhood knows someone's taking action to stop this population from growing, it eases people's minds and they say, well, yeah, you can feed the cats. At least you're doing something for them. So yes, we love when people feed the cats.
So I have a question about getting animals spayed or neutered early. So I adopted several of my dogs from a certain organization whose policy was, and I don't know what all the policies are, but theirs are, it doesn't matter, like 8 weeks old, like you fix them before you can have them. Because they're afraid that someone's going to take them, adopt them, and not bring them back to get spayed or neutered. And to me, I didn't know better enough to question or fight it until later on. I was like, it seems really young that they like did that, especially to a female dog, right? What is your take on that? And like, how do shelters or nonprofits like balance that? Like, well, we don't want them to reproduce. You're adopting out a puppy, but they're probably too young to be having an invasive surgery.
That is a dilemma. And there are all kinds of different recommendations for how early to spay or neuter an animal. Shelters in California must get that pet spayed or neutered before it's adopted out.
Oh, so that's a state rule.
It is, yeah.
Got
and
it.
the way that some places will get around it is that they will give the dog or cat, they'll give the animal to a family as a foster.
Okay.
So technically it still belongs to the shelter, but the family is in possession of it and it's at their home. then the animal will come in and get spayed or neutered, and then the family can officially adopt it.
Yeah.
That's a nice workaround. However, if something happens and that family doesn't come back, doesn't show up, then that animal is out there not spayed or neutered.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of shelters are reluctant to do that.
Yeah.
As far as neighborhood cat advocates, we're dealing with unowned cats. We will spay and neuter them they have to be 3 months and 3 pounds.
Yeah.
They're tiny. But these are little unowned guys. If we did not spay or neuter them at that time, we may never get them back. So they have to be spayed or neutered that young. So medically, it's possible. I'm sure it's not optimal. Our pet population is huge right now.
Yeah.
The pandemic really affected a lot of things in terms of spay and neuter. So our unowned pet population is growing. It's medically, I don't know about ages for spay and neuter, but I do know to keep our state and our communities healthy, spay and neuter, even if it's younger than you'd prefer, sometimes is the way to go.
Okay. So there's something crazy and cool about cats, right? They're special creatures, and in ancient mythology, you know, certain groups worship them or thought they were gods or aliens. What do you think? I think cats could be aliens or gods.
I mean, I certainly worship them because they're amazing. My cat's sister runs my house.
Right, right. It's funny. I have a personality flaw of being a little bit controlling, like whether it's don't leave the socks there or just everything's got to be just so. And I find it funny that with cats, that's the exception, because you cannot control a cat. You cannot train them. They're going to do exactly what they want to do. And it just puts me in this blissful state of acceptance. Like, okay, Fred's the king of the house. I'm not in charge.
Do you have 3 cats?
I have 2.
Two cats.
Fred's the indoor one, Kramer's the outdoor one.
That's a perfect number. I love when people have multiple cats. And they do. They run the house.
Yeah, they're the boss. Yep. So Shelly, if somebody is so grateful to you and your work, I mean, do they buy you like a Starbucks latte? What's your favorite like treat, or like what's an indulgence for you?
Oh, 100% donate to the group that I'm volunteering for.
I knew 100% you would say something like that. Yep.
Yes, I don't want anything for me. If someone adopted a foster dog for me and they say, oh, I'd really love to, you know, show my gratitude, I say, donate to the Chico Animal Shelter.
Okay.
Every group out there needs donations.
But if Brian, our director, was going to bake you something because he loves baking, what would he bake you? Because she always brings us cookies and treats and snacks.
Oh, you got to bring food to the people who take care of you. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cinnamon rolls.
Oh, that sounds good. Brian, you hear that? I'm giving him a job. Yeah, I know. Cinnamon rolls, holiday season is upon us. I'm so excited for the baking to begin.
And something that animal people love about this time of year is that baby animals stop being born when the weather's cold.
Yeah.
So we're not getting any wildlife babies.
And
the kittens being born, the number goes down a lot.
Yep.
So winter we can kind of take a breath.
Good. Well, much well-deserved. We're so grateful for everything you do, Shelly. Thank you for being in our community and letting us all get to know you a little bit better.
It is an honor and a privilege to get to do this work. I'm so lucky, and thank you for inviting me on to talk about this.
Thanks, Shelly. Anytime. Thanks for listening today. I decided to offer this podcast after enough of you let me know that you wanted a deeper dive into certain stories than you get on our TV broadcasts. We elect certain people to represent our voice, but who are they really? My hope is that this podcast answers that question. I love your feedback, and I want to know who you'd like to hear from next. Just fill out that comment section and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify.